Well, I'm a little late on this as usual, but let's talk a little bit about Nazi punching. Hi, I'm T1J.
Follow me.
So if you didn't know, this guy Richard Spencer, who is a white nationalist, essentially a neo-Nazi, he got sucker punched on camera recently, apparently on multiple occasions. Now apparently it's controversial to call him a Nazi, even though he consistently uses Nazi propaganda, quotes from Nazi literature, has suggested that Jews aren't people, and has called for what he calls a peaceful ethnic cleansing, and basically in most ways resembles a Nazi. But as I think about it, it's also controversial with these people to say racism is a thing. So I'm just gonna go with it. So in this video, Richard Spencer will be referred to as a Nazi. So many people are happy about, or at least amused by, the fact that Richard Spencer got punched because, well, he's a Nazi. And some other people are saying, well, yeah, that guy sucks, but using violence is wrong. You're undermining your cause. You're basically making him a martyr. It's much better to battle him using ideas and arguments. So I would describe myself as a pacifist. I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I determined that using violence was the optimal solution to the problem at hand, unless we're talking about actual self-defense against someone using violence towards me. And keep in mind, self-defense is different than vengeance. Self-defense aims to prevent harm to yourself, while vengeance is a retaliatory attack after that harm has already been done. And I think that vengeance is almost always irrational, even if it is sometimes understandable. I just feel like it doesn't really do anything or solve any problems. I guess you could argue that it deters, if not prevents, people from attacking you again, but that seems to rarely actually be the motivation for vengeful acts. But I have to admit, my initial knee-jerk emotional reaction to seeing an openly racist demagogue get punched in the face is, I'm cool with that. Cause fuck that guy. But a knee-jerk emotional reaction is not good enough for me. I have to sit down and think about how I really feel about that. Now, as you might know, I am a staunch advocate of free expression, sometimes to the disapproval of other progressives. Even expression that is offensive or disgusting, as long as it does not directly harm or threaten anyone, I think it should be legally protected. Somewhat related to this whole conversation, I got a lot of shit on Tumblr because I criticized Germany for arresting a guy that was doing the Nazi salute in public. Now, I understand that Germany and other countries have unique laws because of the unique history in that area. And sometimes you might have to take drastic measures just because you know how disastrous something can actually turn out. But in general, I maintain that it is a very bad precedent to try and legally restrict free expression. I've made several arguments for this before, so I won't go into it now. You can watch those videos later. But this wasn't a government retaliation upon Richard Spencer. This was just an individual citizen who took it upon himself to sock him in the face. By the way, good on him for leading with the elbow. The bones in your hand are fragile. Outside of violence, reactions from individuals is what makes free speech work. It's how we determine our society's values. The right to free speech allows us to be exposed to all ideas, not just pre-selected ones that our government or our media thinks are proper. And then we criticize and ridicule ideas we think are bad, and we prop up and reward ideas we think are good. And our values might and probably will evolve over time, and how we react to ideas will change accordingly. It's all very subjective, but I think it's fair. But in general, we would usually agree that a person should not have to fear violent retaliation just because they have an unpopular or disagreeable idea. Like, I oppose the death penalty, but if someone got punched in the face just because they supported the death penalty, I would probably think that was out of line. But ultimately, I don't think I feel the same way about being a Nazi. So here's my premise. I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm open to be challenged on almost anything. There are very, very few things that I think are unambiguously, no room for argument, unacceptable. But being an open, unabashed Nazi white supremacist just happens to be one of those things. There are people out there who consistently say dumb, untrue, and harmful things, like, for example, the majority of people who work at Fox News. But this seems to me to be very clearly different. This goes beyond saying something that's mean or untrue or hurtful. This is like something that's actually unacceptable, like should not exist. I think the problem is a lot of people are framing this like it's just another shitty political opinion, but I don't think that's right. This is like if a guy got on TV and spoke about how awesome it is to kidnap and torture people. Like, that's not just another opinion, that's just unacceptable. If a guy like that gets sucker punched, I'm probably okay with that. And something tells me that most other people would probably be okay with that too. There's just this movement currently whose only purpose seems like it's to be hyper-reactionary to everything progressives say and do. But if a guy like that gets on TV, facts and arguments are no longer relevant. Richard Spencer and the alt-right are completely subverting the entire concept of the exchange of ideas. He doesn't care about facts or arguments, he's a fucking Nazi. What kind of arguments are you gonna make? Oh, actually the Nazis were bad, and whites whites aren't a superior race. Oh shit! I didn't even think about that. My bad. So in my view, it's not about trying to defeat white supremacists in a battle of ideas. I don't think that's gonna work. Some ideas are just unacceptable and we have to prevent their propagation. And I still think the legal right to free speech is important. So it's not up to the government to do this. It's up to the citizens to facilitate this. So the first thing we have to do is to refuse to treat unacceptable ideas as if they are normal political positions. A lot of people criticize Bill Nye when he agreed to debate Ken Ham on the subject of evolution and creationism because they felt like he was treating a patently ridiculous and unscientific idea as if it were a legitimate alternate theory. We shouldn't engage people like that. We shouldn't debate people like that. We shouldn't invite people like that to speak at our events. And when they are given a platform of any kind, we should protest it. And I feel like I've made this clear already, but I'm going to reiterate it. I'm not saying that everything I disagree with is unacceptable, because I know there are going to be comments like, you just want to silence things you disagree with. But no, I disagree with a lot of people on a lot of things, and the vast majority of those things I'm perfectly fine with allowing you to openly express. But in my view, there are a few things, a very small number of things, but a few things nonetheless that are just simply unacceptable, like advocating the torture of innocent people or white supremacy. Maybe you don't think those things are unacceptable, or maybe you think the list of unacceptable things is much larger than my list. I can only speak from my perspective. The concept of no platforming is kind of controversial, and I think it's usually misused if I'm being honest. But what I think it should be used for is ideas like fascism and peaceful ethnic cleansing, which is an oxymoron, by the way. But I'm sure that Spencer and his followers know that it's an oxymoron. That's what I'm talking about. You can't defeat them in a battle of ideas because they're not playing by the rules. The second thing that we can do is put social pressure on people with horrific ideas. We don't hang out with them, we don't date them, we don't marry them, we don't look them in the eye, we give them shit every time they start talking, we ridicule them. We want to send the message that, hey, you don't get to be a Nazi and also live a normal, peaceful life. Sorry about that. We want them to fear the social consequences of being an awful person. Those consequences could include being ostracized or ridiculed, or they could include being punched in the face. And no, we're not trying to change their mind. That's probably unlikely. We're trying to contain unacceptable ideas by disincentivizing, if not outright preventing, their propagation. It's often said that violence never solves anything, which may be a decent rule of thumb for your general life, but it's clearly not entirely true. Like, if a cop uses violence to apprehend a dangerous criminal, no one's gonna be like, violence doesn't solve anything. Shit, some of y'all justify police violence against innocent people. And another example is self-defense, which I mentioned before. But I think it could be argued that some ideas and actions are inherently or potentially violent, even when they don't directly cause physical harm to anyone. Like, I don't know, the idea of ethnic cleansing. And if that's the case, then self-defense might apply here. So would I myself punch Richard Spencer in the face? I doubt it. Do I think that if you see Richard Spencer in the street or any other neo-Nazi that you should punch them in the face? Not really. Should the guy that punched Richard Spencer be charged with assault? Probably. But am I okay with the fact that Richard Spencer got punched in the face? Yeah? Fuck that guy. That's just me though. What do you think? Thank you for watching my video. This video was made in partnership with AJ Plus, whom you may have heard of. But if you like my videos, you should go check out their new channel, Newsbroke. It's hosted by Francesca Fiorentini, who's just awesome. She makes really funny videos about politics from a progressive standpoint, like this one, which is actually pretty relevant.
From the people who brought you pure grunge, the best of alt-rock, this is White Noise, the best of the alt-right.
Seriously, go watch that full video. It's really funny. You can click the thing up here to go watch it. I can't remember which side it's going to be on. And after you do that, make sure you subscribe to their channel and tell them that T1J sent you. That link will be in the description below. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. If you'd like to say hi, ask a question, or leave feedback, feel free to email me at hello@theonejanitor.com. And if you find any value in my videos, or if you just want to support me, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. And remember, be honest, be assertive, be kind, and be open-minded. Stay Hako.